Good morning, everybody. I'm back here with a new fragrance, and this fragrance was inspired by Shok. And this fragrance was actually given to me by a vendor who I supply, and he was the one that made this particular fragrance popular in the Philadelphia area. He actually, I have another fragrance that is very similar to this one on the website, and that one was recreated. It's a very good fragrance. I've had some good response to it, but this version of that fragrance, this version is the imported version. I don't know exactly where it's imported from. All I know is that he told me that this was the imported version. And so, this is his flagship product. This is or should I say, one of his flagship products as a retail vendor. And the reason I was convinced to pick this up, even after this fragrance was recreated, was for the simple fact that he made it popular. He renamed it. There's been other vendors that renamed it other different names. But the reason that I was convinced to pick this up from him was because he had made it popular in the Philadelphia area. Other vendors / I guess you can say competitors. I don't really like to say competitors in the body oil business, because I don't really believe that there's really competitors. I believe that, as another associate of mine, he says that you only compete against yourself. And that's the reason why I say that, is because you can always, mix and blend fragrances to create your own scents. So in a sense, I don't feel that there's ever any competition in fragrances. However, he actually was the first one to make this particular fragrance popular. And I originally was introduced to this fragrance from a guy who would travel, the different states. And I had run into him once, and he turned me on to this fragrance, and he said, "Listen, man, I'm telling you, this is a very popular fragrance." And he showed me one vendor who wanted this fragrance and wanted him to wholesale it to him in pounds. Okay, he wanted multiple pounds of this fragrance. And we'll just put it this way, the guy was wholesaling it to him for a whole lot more. We'll just put it, he put a hefty price tag on the pound quantity. I won't get into numbers. But right when he did that, I said, okay, fine, I will take a pound. And so I picked up a pound, sold that, and here it is. I actually met the original guy, or the guy who originally made this particular fragrance popular. So I mean, I'm talking, these are vendors that, they've been in the body oil business for a long time. They've been around oils for years. And the original guy, the first guy that I was introduced to this that introduced me to this fragrance, I saw that it was one of his flagship products. The guy that I just met the other day, I found out it was also one of his flagship products. He actually wears this fragrance to lure in his customers. And he told me, so when they get to his table or his stand where he sells, they ask him, "What is that you're wearing?" And he has to tell them what it is. And so that's pretty much how I ended up picking up the imported version that he has. I have a decent one on the website, inspired by Anta. It's Anta. But this one, I've noticed, it does have a stronger bite to it. It's a little bit on the sweet side. However, it's just right. It's real mellow. Whenever I put it in the packages, as a sample for the ladies, also for the guys, they're automatically attracted to it. They love it. Now, I think that, I have this. I've experimented with, the sweeter fragrances, and I've noticed that I've gotten some good response off of it, and I think that has to do with the fact that my body produces, the male hormones, the male pheromones, and so when my pheromones mix with the sweeter fragrances, it projects as a more masculine smell, and I really think, when you're wearing a sweeter fragrance, and I'm talking for men, when men wear sweet fragrances, if you're producing enough pheromones, if you're producing enough testosterone, I feel that it kind of accents, the sweet accents, your natural testosterone pheromones as a man, and therefore creating a nice balance when when your natural sweat is emitting from your body and the fragrances are evaporating into the air along with your natural pheromones. It's almost like, the way I would explain it would be like, how you would eat a watermelon with salt, right? Or an orange with salt. Or let's say something sour with something sweet, right? Like let's say like a sweet and sour chicken, right? So that's kind of like how I view sweet fragrances, and I've experimented with some of the very, very feminine fragrances, and blending them with some of my my other fragrances, like the white oud, for example. I've done that. I've mixed some of the real feminine fragrances along with the white oud, for example, and I've gotten really, really good responses. So, I actually heard of one guy. He had this theory that basically, if and I don't know how true it is, but I find in my experimentation, I find it to be true, is that when he would actually wear the female fragrances, that the women around him were more drawn to him because of the fact that he was wearing the more feminine fragrances. And his whole theory behind that was that, that the women basically, they thought that because he always smelled like, he kind of had like that sweet feminine smell on him, that it's because he's always around women. And so, women are always drawn to him and women are always around him. So they, his whole theory was that it was kind of like a way, I guess you could say, a way of, letting the women around him know that, that there's a lot of competition for him. That was his whole theory behind it. And honestly, I would believe that to be true. I would believe that to be true. I actually went to pay my cell phone bill, and I did a blend of the white oud with some other female fragrances, a couple different female fragrances. I'm not going to say what they were because I don't want to give away my formula. But I had mixed two female fragrances with the white oud, and I'm sitting there, I'm paying my cell phone bill, and the female teller who was waiting on me, she stopped in the middle and she said, "You smell really good." And I said, "Oh, okay." And it was funny because a male family member of mine actually said, "Nah, man, I'm not with it. It's too sweet. It smells too feminine." And so right afterwards, I told him, "Hey, that fragrance you said was too sweet." Somebody actually complimented on that. So that kind of like proved, the other guy's theory to be true, in my opinion. And having put it, having worn it, and people commenting on how good it smells, that person didn't really know whether it was a male or female fragrance. Another example was I had done that with a couple other fragrances that I had blended together, and same response. person didn't know, the clerk didn't know behind the counter, because you wear these fragrances and people compliment. So the female teller behind the counter didn't really even know what I had blended together. All she knows is that it smelled good, and it's just kind of like doing, the whole blind test thing, and you will be surprised. I would recommend for the guys to try that out, especially if you feel like, you're the type, you feel like you're making enough testosterone. I don't know if everybody can get away with that. I would say many guys could get away with it, but I don't know how many guys could get away with it. But I would recommend trying that out. I've actually had females. I did a blind test where I would put female fragrances, the female version of a fragrance and a male version of a fragrance, and they would say, I want that one, and they would point to the male fragrance, not knowing that was the male version of that fragrance. I find that to be true, because I've heard of females wearing some of the male fragrances, and again, it's like kind of like similar responses in regards to, how their body projects those male fragrances. So that's kind of my experience here with this fragrance right here. It is a bit on the sweet side. However, I've gotten very, very good, very good reviews and feedback on this fragrance since I've had it. I've seen, like I said, some of the, the I guess you can say career, body oil vendor guys who have been doing this for years. This is one of their go-to products. This is one of their flagship products. This is something I highly recommend for the incoming orders. I will try to make sure to put out samples of this particular fragrance right here. So try it out. Try this fragrance. Also try, for the guys out there, experiment with the female fragrances. I mean, honestly, I think the theory is true on that. I really do. And for the females, experiment with some of the male fragrance. You might be surprised at some of the feedback that you get. So until then, click the links below, guys, and ladies, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my newsletter on the website. It's on the bottom right hand corner of the website. And check back again for new reviews on new fragrances coming in. Take care and have a good one.